Hello again, everyone. I've got a great match to show you, and this match stood out to me for a number of reasons. Well, one, I always like the Savanna Elves versus Breakers matchup. I think it's a fun one to study because it feels fairly balanced, and depending on how aggressively or defensively each side approaches it, it really changes the dynamics of the match a lot. And then I also remember this in this match, we both me and my opponent were just rolling insanely well. There's hardly any big misses, so it's always great when both sides can can accomplish what they want and they can employ the strategies that they want to. And then the other reason this match is was kind of significant was that this was the finals of a tournament, me versus Massimo. And this was like the first of a series of three matches where this is my strongest faction pick versus his strongest faction pick, so there's a lot riding on it. So let's get right into this. And this starting move I do pretty much every game in this matchup. As Savanna Elves, just move everything to the left in a straight line there. And the main point being that you're trying to keep the border archer out of range of the Mind Witch, because you don't want the Mind Witch ever copying your ability to attack twice, because that's just going to be big damage. So a lot of this matchup is kind of dancing around that, and I'm trying to put my border archers not within 3 spaces of a summoning point for my opponent, which is also why I put the gate on the upper left there, so that anytime I summon a border archer, they're not going to be in a position where that Mind Witch is copying them. I did use that first Chant of Growth already in the on the starting move, just because I had happened to draw both Chant of Growth, and you don't want to be holding on to both of those for very long here, because you need to cycle through your deck fairly quickly in this match if you're playing defensively. Then that's because you need to draw some sort of archer to maintain in this fight. You always got to be kind of having at least one archer, it feels like, otherwise you can get put in a bad spot. And so I can already tell you, like, I'm already going to be discarding that Lioness and that Chant of Weaving. The Lioness is going to be an easy one to let go in this match, because anytime you're not fighting kind of close range, the Lioness's value goes way down. It's way hard to get a lot of value out of them. So yeah, I'm focusing on archers and rhinos a lot in this match. And then Chant of Weaving, you're never going to get a lot of value out of Chant of Weaving without a big magic pool anyway, so it's not a big loss if you just have to discard the first copy. I get some great hits in with the border archer. Can't ask for a better start there. One hit kill on the deceiver, and actually that makes me think about what the way I think of this match is like there's counters to counters to counters, to where I use the border archer to counter a deceiver a lot of times, and then a Mind Witch can counter the border archer, and then I use Spirit Mage a lot. Like right now, that's what I'm summoning, a Spirit Mage, and I'm going after a Mind Witch, or maybe the Spirit Mage I can put up against a Wind Archer. And then the Wind Archer can beat virtually everything. The Wind Archer is really good in this match. And then maybe I'll put a Rhino to go after that Wind Archer from a long range. And then a Deceiver can be good against a Rhino. So it's this endless loop, which makes this matchup very interesting to me. And yeah, well, I guess we'll see how this plays out here. Looking back at this, I'm wondering why I even summoned the Spirit Mage here, because it feels like kind of a waste, because I have a border archer now just sitting there as a target doing nothing, when I probably could have just sent it forward and even at the worst just hope for a 2 out of 2. Hold on to my Spirit Mage for the next turn. I don't know what I was thinking, other than I need to get a kill, which is maybe a thinking that can get you into trouble when maybe there are more efficient ways to play. Well, now we get to see some of the benefits of that Wind Archer, where the Mind Witch copied its ability to get some extra movement, some extra range on the attack, which is great. And I'd say in general, though, the Wind Archer is really crucial at winning in a ranged war against the Savanna Elves. Like, it really is all about that Wind Archer, to where without it you can't really outvalue them that easily. And it's like, to me, like the general engine is that you need like a wind archer plus a wind mage. The wind archer shoots, wind mage, and then pushes it to safety, or maybe the wind archer pushes a deceiver in front of it for protection. So yeah, there's a big component of like draw luck from both sides in this matchup. So fortunately, the archer was exposed, so I was able to get some great value here by killing it immediately. But as a trade-off, I've kind of been forced here to put my border archer in a bad spot to where, well, now you get to see the Mind Witch countering it by copying its ability. And so yeah, now I'm losing a lot of value if this border archer dies, which it does. So now you get to see the other piece of this puzzle, which is the Rhino, and the Rhino is super crucial in this match and in most others. And yeah, so I put all my boosts on him, and but I like to treat him kind of as a distraction in a sense, where your opponent is usually forced to deal with him because he's a big threat with 3 boosts now and with a lot of health, and like basically this allows your archers to be kind of safely shooting in the back, and it preserves their life. And you can even use that opportunity a lot to attack with a buashi even. So yeah, love the rhinos for all those reasons and more. We see the first bad roll of the game here with the Rhino missing that Wind Mage. And that now essentially that means that I've wasted my Chant of Entangling event. The whole purpose was just to kill that Wind Mage. And now you might be wondering why I would have used Entangling in that situation, because there are more optimal ways to get more out of it. But a couple reasons. One, Wind Mage is a pretty primary target to take out. So it's an important target to take out. 2, I like to get the momentum going a lot of times to just wipe the board clean. You don't want it, the breaker's filling the board up with a bunch of units. And then probably the biggest reason is because I like to use that first copy of Entangling a lot more liberally to avoid bad draws and to not let my hand get full of event cards. So yeah, by doing that, you avoid a lot of potential bad draws, because it's kind of hard to use that first copy of Entangling a lot of times. Now this is an interesting combo, using the Hypnotic Call and Mind Control to capture the Rhino temporarily. And then now the Rhino's got double attacks because it's still being entangled. And even the Mind Witch is copying both of their abilities, which means if the Wind Mage doesn't get a kill here, well, it did, but if it didn't, this Mind Witch would have still been able to double attack against the Lioness. So yeah, very creative move. I like that. And I think the other thing I was thinking is that, if Takulu had been in closer range to do the mind control, I probably would not have entangled the Rhino, because you do have to be careful of putting your entangled units too close to Takulu. But yeah, at least in this case, I he had to use some extra resources to pull that move off. It's kind of funny, I still got that starting Lioness on the board, just slowly trying to boost it up over the course of the game. And then, well, with Tempest active, there wasn't a whole lot of moves I can make here, but I guess the main thing I'm doing, I'm actually trying to get Abuashi into a position here where I can put down a forward gate if my opponent allows me to. So I guess one of two things could happen. Like, I feel like either Goldune might come out here and I might get hit really hard, or maybe I'll be in a position where I can move Abuashi forward and put down a gate in the front, which, I know I've been playing this match defensively, but I feel like ultimately I do want to get a forward gate down if I can. But yeah, a lot of times you're just losing too many units on that advance forward to where I feel like it's not a good thing to do. But yeah, if they let me, I do want to do that. This looks like a good patient move from my opponent. Just kind of looks like he's biding his time, waiting for that right moment to get a champion out and counter punish me. So that's what I'm really concerned with. And the downside, though, is that it is going to allow me a chance to move forward with if I do have a gate, which I do. Uh, so I advance forward, but I make sure to cover the front spaces of my opponent's gates, which I think is important in forcing them to fight from like a less efficient position. It's always uncomfortable to fight from that position, and it's more importantly, I put a unit in front of my frontmost gate, which I think is almost essential whenever you're putting a front gate down. Covering that position is important because if your opponent puts a unit there, then now suddenly you could be the one fighting from a bad position. An unexpected turn happened here where Gwalik came out, and yeah, you don't see Gwalik too often, but I do think he's a decent threat in most matchups, including this one. But yeah, so essentially now I'm kind of forced to retreat a bit and kind of improvise here. I can't really, play as aggressively as I was kind of hoping there. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting move. So we see another mind control event come out, and it's used against my rhinos once again. And it actually, in fact, it looks like he's kind of gaining more ground again here, and it's putting me more on the defensive than I was expecting to be there. Um, but on the positive side, in my mind, is that since he's using more mind controls, and he just used a mind capture against my border archer there, like that's gonna slowly turn the economic advantage in my favor. So in a long game, it's going to be a little harder now for him to win. So yeah, kind of from the perspective of the breakers, I always think that like if you start using a lot of mind captures, you're kind of committing to winning in an assassination game in the end. Bring out my first champion, Makenda Roo, which I haven't really talked about her yet, and I should have. I mean, I should have because she's really the most essential unit in this matchup. I feel like against the breakers, especially if you're committing to a long range battle, she's essential at winning it because you just don't have enough range units to sustain that the entire game. Yeah, I know this matchup turned more close range here at the end, but if it hadn't, you have to have her, and especially important is that she can the mind witches can't copy her ability. That's really crucial. And she's always just a good unit to stack some boosts on to use the chance of power. So a good chance of power candidate as well. Yeah, speaking of, chance of power comes out with Makenda. Do some huge damage, man. We're both just rolling really well in this match. Gwalik dies now. And I even kill my own rhino here because I felt like I don't want Takulu to mind capture that rhino and then kill my rhino. I feel like that'd be kind of a waste for me. Okay, now he returns the favor with these good rolls, and it hit a 7 out of 7 on Makenda there. Chance of Weaving kind of saved me here because otherwise I wouldn't been able to kill this Wind Mage. Now I think I remember also the reason I didn't want to attack with the Rhino. One, I couldn't have killed it, but the other reason is that I was trying to keep the Rhino on the board to threaten entangling with this Lioness in the back. So the Lioness is slowly becoming a bigger and bigger threat now if it can be entangled. So that's something now he's got to watch out for. You might notice here I'm trying to avoid a direct confrontation with Takulu, and I do that a lot against her. I think in this case, it's because I'm trying to win in a long game. I feel like I could still do that. And I moved the 1 HP, that 1 HP Rhino to safety. I'm really trying to preserve its life. Mainly that's because I'm running out of entangling targets. So there's a big threat right now to entangle like a Lioness and a Rhino, or I can even entangle that Rhino with the Border Archer and attack twice for big damage. So Yeah, so often that the rhinos are left with 1 HP because they start with so much health, and like even with 1 HP, they can just do so much still. So that's why it's just such a great unit. And now my starting lioness from the very beginning of the match finally comes to life. Amazing that it has survived this entire time. Used entangling, and then the chance of power combo to do some big damage on Takulu. Uh, well, that's the other bad roll of the game, I guess. 4 out of 7 melee is not good. But yeah, that's the power of entangling. Man, the Rhino and Lioness combo with entangling is pretty strong. I really like that one. I mean, there's lots of good combos, but that's one I go to a lot. And now I feel like he's in a bit of a tougher position to finish off my summoner, but it's still not over yet. And surprisingly, looking back at this game, I noticed that like if I hadn't killed that Wind Mage just now, that he potentially would have had with a Mind Witch in his hand, he could have thrown 8 dice at my summoner, potentially finished me off. Or if he had a Wind Archer, he could have attacked me for 7 even. So yeah, there's even still a little more to go here where I'm not completely out of danger just yet. Okay, he brings out a Mind Witch here, which is potentially dangerous still because he can copy a Rhino's ability, and like my summoner can't necessarily hide. Like I don't think he really has a safe place to hide after this turn. So if he hits a 3 out of 3 here, well, he hits a 2 out of 3. But if it was if I was down to 3 health, like I was in potential 1-hit kill range, still was in some danger there. But yeah, I feel like now after that the tide's probably returning here. Okay, here I think he's going for a double kill on these rhinos. Actually, potentially could have killed both. Which still would have meant he had some winning chances there, even. Okay, going in for the kill. And in typical fashion of this game, we hit all of our dice, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching.